Mr. Mnuchin, I'm new to this committee, so let me start with some very simple questions. And the first is what your feeling is about the present level of income inequality in the United States.
Again, my number one focus is economic growth, and I think if we have proper economic growth, that will shrink the income inequality.
The ratio of CEO to average worker pay has gone from 18 to 1 to 270 to 1 in the last 50 years. The top 1% of income earners take 24% of all income out of the economy every year, according to the Federal Reserve. And the top 25 hedge fund managers made more in the last year we have information for, this 2014, than all 158,000 kindergarten teachers, according to the Washington Post. You think we're going to grow our way out of that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you think that the tax code should be progressive in the sense that it demands a higher contribution as a percentage of income from high-income earners than from lower-income earners?
I think it is quite progressive, and many things we did in the Tax Cuts Act, like eliminating the state and local deductions, actually made it more progressive.
So it should be progressive. I'm glad we agree on that. The last report that we had from the IRS was from 2014. They looked at the top 400 taxpayers, aggregated their income and their tax payments, and calculated that they paid an average federal tax rate of 23%, which is a lower tax rate for the top 400 taxpayers than a lot of plumbers pay, a lot of teachers pay. And one thing that bothers me is that the IRS has stopped reporting that information. You are in the position as Secretary of the Treasury to instruct the IRS to start reporting that information again. And I think I don't know about what you think, but I think it's important for Americans to get a sense of how things are going in their democracy, to have a fair report of how much the highest income earners are actually paying in taxes. I don't know why that's something that we would want to not disclose. I'm not going to put you on the spot right here, but I will ask you in a question for the record if you will tell the IRS to go back to reporting the aggregated tax information for the top 400 taxpayers. So I don't want to put you on, let's say, I don't want to put you on.
I'm happy to answer the question, which is I'm not aware of the report, but I'm happy to go back and speak to the IRS and understand why they were comfortable in the past and why they're no longer doing it. Obviously, there's a sensitivity to any specific taxpayer information, so whether that's a small enough sample. But I'm happy to get back to you on that.
I appreciate it. The other issue I want to talk with you about is, as Treasury Secretary, you oversee FinCEN, and one of the problems that we are hearing very loudly in the Judiciary Committee, Senator Grassley and I have bipartisan legislation on this, is that the United States is becoming the haven for international kleptocrats and criminals because our shell corporation, our incorporation transparency controls are so bad. And as the EU is cleaning up on this, and as the UK is cleaning up on this, the United States is becoming the laggards, with the result that terror organizations, drug cartels, human traffickers, and other criminal enterprises can hide assets and launder money here in the United States. Your Deputy Assistant Secretary at the Office of Terrorist Financing and Financial Crimes told the Judiciary Committee that this lack of information, this prevalence of American shell corporations, was what she called a vulnerability. And a former Treasury special agent and FinCEN agent testifying said, and I'll quote him here, "Requiring the real owner of a U.S. company to be named during the incorporation process will cut down in dramatic fashion the ability of criminals to finance their crimes." I would like to ask you to work with us, with Senator Grassley and myself, in trying to improve incorporation transparency in the United States. I think that when Ronald Reagan said we were on a city on a hill, echoing John Winthrop, he said that for a reason. And I don't think we look much like a city on a hill when we become the haven for crooked gains of criminals and kleptocrats.
Senator, I agree with you. This issue that we refer to as beneficial ownership, we need
Correct.
to have a way of tracking beneficial ownership. I am working with the department. We look forward to working with Congress. We do need to solve this issue, and it's something I look forward to working with you on.
And for the record, Mr. Chairman, I know my time has expired, but the problem here is that even with a warrant, even with a subpoena, you can't get this information because it's been so well hidden. So the traditional tools of law enforcement fail up against this problem of the shell corporations. I thank you, Mr. Mnuchin.